Hello, YouTube. So, yeah, it's been a while since I've done a review. 2 months, actually. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that, but this movie was extremely hard to find. Seriously, you'd think that the 1954 Godzilla, the one that started the whole entire Godzilla franchise, which, yes, there are over 20 movies of these, so yeah, that makes it even harder to find this one, but you would think that that one would be pretty easy to find. You'd be wrong. I found it on eBay, sure, but there's only one of them that's at a pretty good price. Didn't even check Amazon because I don't like Amazon really. And I checked a lot of different websites, but the only one that I could actually find it on was Dailymotion. And yeah, I ultimately just decided to watch it on there, even though they have a terrible dub. Heck, even my library doesn't have this movie. I don't know why. It's a pretty popular movie. You would think that the library of all places would have it, but no, of course they don't. And on TV, yes, I did find it, but I missed the first 12 minutes of it, and it's in Japanese. So therefore, no, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm sure they did have the dubbing, but yeah, I don't care. I missed the first 12 minutes, that means no deal. So, yeah. Ultimately, I just decided to watch the one with the terrible dubbing, which I will show you guys later, but yeah, let's finally just do this. This is the 1954 Godzilla. When it comes down to story, it's kind of a weird subject with this one because there are pretty much 3 different stories going on throughout the film. The very first one is where they're building up Godzilla. This is pretty much where we find out how he was created by nuclear weapons. Yeah, it was 1950s Japan. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they had that element in there. And also trying to explain why he's actually doing what he's doing, which is pretty much causing mass destruction on boats. Horrible? I mean, yeah, I guess if I drove boats in Japan, then that'd be a bad thing, but, I mean, not that many people are going to be affected by that, I guess. Just some people are going to have to stop taking boats. But, yeah, eventually things do get worse when we get into the second part of the story, which is Godzilla going on a rampage. And this lasts for like 20 minutes. Yes, Godzilla rampaging lasts for like 20 minutes. I guess I should have been happy during this moment because we don't get that much dubbing here because it's mainly just people screaming, but yeah, it's still 20 minutes of Godzilla just running around and destroying stuff. Sure, it's awesome, but it's awesome for the first few minutes. After that, it just sort of becomes kind of boring, although I do have to admit that the special effects here are really good for the 1950s, and even to today, it's still really good in some of the iconic moments. So yeah, effects work here is really good. And then after that, we have really weird characters like Shirzara? Yeah, I'm just gonna call them all by their first name, or like the first letter of their name, because really, Japanese names are hard to say. But yeah, S, the scientist with an eye patch. Yeah, he has an eye patch. Why does he have an eye patch? I have no idea, but he has an eye patch, and for some odd reason, they never explain that. Just he got an eye patch. Was that caused by one of his experiments? Did something bad happen? Was he in a war and got his eye shot out? I really want to know how he lost his eye, or why he needs an eye patch on all the time, but yeah, he needs an eye patch for some reason, and you would think that him wearing an eye patch would make him a villain, but no, actually he's a good guy. And he has now designed what all good guys do. An oxygen destruction weapon. Or at least that's what I think it is. It's really weird. It's something that takes away oxygen. Let's just leave it at that. And he uses this awful device to kill fish. Monster. But yeah, I guess I can see how that would be used by the government in a bad way. So he also notices that and decides not to destroy his life's work because, yeah, this will just cause awful things to happen, which is something that he should have noticed while he was making this device, but apparently no, it was only until he perfected it that he noticed that, yeah, this might actually be a pretty bad device, but they ultimately decide that we can use this on Godzilla. And he decides, yeah, okay, I guess I'll use it on that after a long time of debating whether or not he should. Because, this monster that's destroying a lot of the city and killing hundreds, yeah, that's not something that you wouldn't immediately want to destroy if you actually had the weapons to do so. But no, of course it isn't. He needs to debate on this for a while. But ultimately, he does decide that he will help out in destroying it, and eventually does take his own life as he does so, because he doesn't want anyone else to know how to make this machine. And I guess no one else can get the notes or anything. Yeah, there'll probably be some notes that he forgot about, but yeah, anyway, he decides that it's best to just take his own life, so then this machine can never be created again. So then if there's ever a monster like Godzilla again, then there can be no help with that. Thanks. So, and that's pretty much where the movie ends. Yeah, this movie goes back and forth on story a lot, which is probably its biggest problem. Yeah, it's just kind of a weird way of saying it up, but I will say the build-up to Godzilla is really good, and it did get me very excited to see him actually go on a rampage, but then that rampage lasts for like 20 minutes, and it gets kind of boring, but it does still hold your interest with the special effects, which are really great, and I did actually really enjoy watching for the first 10 minutes, then the next 10 I just sort of got bored again, but yeah, it does still look very impressive. So, then we also got the kind of boring story with S and him deciding whether or not he should actually decide to use this machine for something good. Yeah, he made this machine for usage of something good, but apparently decides, no, I shouldn't use it for that, until he's convinced by his friends to say, yeah, just go use it, okay. And that's pretty much his biggest moment of convincing. But, yeah, this is still the 1950s, so I'm still pretty impressed with the amount of effort that they did actually put into the sort of debate going on with him, and they do show a lot of character with him there. And he's also probably the one to get the most character development out of this whole movie, so I'm glad they did put a good focus on him, but yeah, really the story of this, there's really not that much. It's just sort of Godzilla build-up, Godzilla on a rampage, deciding or whether or not you should use a weapon, and then ultimately just using it, and that's it. There's really not that much story to this, which is its biggest flaw, but for what they do, it is done pretty well, and I do actually kind of like some aspects of it. I do really enjoy the build-up to Godzilla, and overall the message of this movie on not using nuclear weapons is still pretty prominent today, and I do like how well it's held up. So, for the story, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because, well, sure, it's not that great on today's standards. For 1954, it is still a very good, very well done story, and I do really like how they did it here. So, yeah, 7 out of 10. Let's get on to the characters. So, when it comes to the characters, it's gonna be kind of hard for me to talk about them because of the type of dub I was watching. Yeah, the dub made all the characters sound like this. So, yeah, those were the voices I was listening to for an hour and a half, and yeah, you don't really get that much emotion out of them, so talking about the characters here is going to be kind of hard because half of the emotion should come out of their voices and their acting, although this stuff that I was listening to doesn't really have that, so yeah. It's gonna be kind of hard to judge these characters here, but I'll do my best. So, first off, we have Hideo. Yeah, Japanese names. They are always kind of weird. So, Hideo, he is in this. Yeah. That's pretty much his biggest character. There is a little bit with him having a relationship with Imikio, but that's pretty much the biggest development that he gets in this movie. He has a girlfriend. Ooh! That's really all, though, and he's never really expanded on. So, yeah, he has a girlfriend. Good for him. But, yeah, he's probably the weakest character out of this whole movie. Then we have his girlfriend, Amikio. She is also there, although she does have a little bit more character than her boyfriend because, well, we do actually get to see a lot of moments where we can really see that she does truly care about her father and about her friendship relationships. So that's pretty much the biggest development that she gets, but it is at least something compared to her boyfriend, so it is nice to see that she actually got some development here. Then we have her father, or at least I think it's her father. They didn't really say, actually. Or I just forgot it. It's been a few weeks since I watched this movie. But we have Kahari. Kahai. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna do the same thing I'm just gonna do for S with the first letter of his name. Yeah, we have K. He's there. Yeah, not that many characters get development in this. For some odd reason, he seems to be ill. Or at least he just, like, sits around a lot. I think that he was the professor talking about Godzilla before, and now just sort of heard about the attack or something, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but if that is the character that he has, then yeah, he's actually pretty well developed in this, and while I do drop his character after the second half of the movie, I do still like him enough, and he is still a pretty good character. Sure, they don't really focus on him that much after the attack of Godzilla, but yeah, he is still a pretty well-developed character, and I do like him for the most part. Then we have S. I still want an explanation on that eye patch. Seriously, why do you have an eye patch? Was there some sort of explanation in this movie that I just didn't hear for him having an eye patch? Just like, he has an eye patch, why? But anyway, he's pretty much a tormented scientist who has now created an invention that could pretty much kill everybody, and for some odd reason never decided to stop production on that while he was making it, because he's dumb that way. So yeah, he never decided to drop that for some reason, because I guess it might just be because it's his life's work, but his life's work could kill a lot of other people, so yeah, I don't really get why he would want to keep on working on that, and even after he's finished it, he decides, yeah, this was a pretty dumb idea, I should have probably just stopped doing this. So why didn't he stop doing it while he was making it? I don't know. But yeah, most of his he pretty much comes in at the third half of the movie, and yeah, that's kind of pretty late in the game to actually introduce this character, but they do eventually introduce him, so yeah, he just sort of comes in randomly, but he is actually kind of the most developed character in this movie. We do get to see him really tormented over the invention that he's created, and how he thinks about how the government would actually use it if they were to get their hands on it. That's where most of the heart comes in through this movie, and I do really like how it's done. And he is actually a pretty interesting character, so yeah, he's probably the most interesting out of this whole film. Then we have Godzilla, or Godzilla. Yeah, call them what you want. There were two names for this movie, Godzilla and Godzilla. It's obvious which one was the more popular name, but Godzilla is the official name for this movie, and the one that I actually did find on TV, although that was for the Japanese version with English subtitles, so whether or not that's the name for the Japanese movie or just for the movie overall, it's just that they went with a more popular name, I really don't know. But yeah, Godzilla. What can you say about him, really? He's a pretty great character. Over 20 movies that he's had, he's gotten a lot more development, and yeah, while he is still the same character that just sort of goes around destroying things, there's sort of an art to that. And I do actually like his backstory, as he's not really a monster, it's just that he was pretty much just disturbed in his nap, and now he's pretty pissed about it. So they do actually give some sort of tragedy to this character. Well, sure, it's not that much, and it doesn't really give him all that much character. There is still some there, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the characters, really. There aren't that many. It's just sort of these five. I mean, sure, there's like this reporter guy who comes in every now and again, but it's not really there that much, and that's pretty much how the characters in this movie work. They come in sometimes, and then they just sort of leave. So yeah, for the characters here, I'm going to give them a 5 out of 10, as, well, yes, they are pretty bland for today's standards. They are still pretty interesting at times, and for the 1950s, I gotta give them some credit. They did really good on developing their characters. You gotta think about this movie in the time period that was made as the best way to see these characters, and of course, this is where we got Godzilla from, so yeah, it's always pretty great to see Godzilla in his starting point. So yeah, 5 out of 10. So, what I think about this movie overall? Kind of hard to say, really. It's a pretty decent movie, especially for the time that it was made. The message on nuclear weapons does still really hold up, and of course, this being the starting place for Godzilla, it does make it a very, very memorable movie. Although, does that make it actually a good one? Well, that's really where the question is sort of debated for me. Because, well, yes, this is a very iconic movie, and there are some actually pretty interesting things to it. The story does jump around a lot, and throughout the first 20 minutes, there's no real focus. It's just sort of jumping around from one Godzilla attack to another. And then it just sort of focuses in on these characters that were pretty much just developed throughout like 5-minute scenes in the beginning, and that's really it. And then they just decide randomly, we'll focus on these guys because we don't know. And then they just sort of randomly throw in characters that are actually kind of interesting, and random things just sort of happen, and then they ultimately just decide to destroy Godzilla. And yeah, that's pretty much how the story works, and the story and characters are really debatable on whether or not they're actually good, but there are still some pretty interesting things to come from both of those. So yeah, I do really like how this was done. It's just that really it's kind of jointed. It's kind of disjointed a lot, and yeah, I do really wish that they could have actually focused in on something, but I do still like how it was done here, and it's not the worst, especially for the time period that it was done in. So, for the story, I'm gonna give it a 5 out, for the movie overall, sorry, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, as it's not the best, but I definitely seen worse, and for the time period that this was done in, it definitely does have a pretty good standard, as it does still hold up pretty well, and there are some interesting things to get out of this. So yeah, 5 out of 10. So, yeah, again, I'm really sorry that this review took so long to get out. I just really had a hard time finding this movie. I really just sort of thought that this one would be pretty simple to find, as it's a pretty iconic movie, so you would at least think that the library would have it, but to my surprise, it wasn't really anywhere, and well, I did want to get it on eBay, then I just sort of thought, well, that could take a while to get, and I don't want to delay this review. 2 months later. So, yeah, really, it was just a big mess to find this movie. But ultimately, I decided Daily Motion has it. Who cares about the dubbing? So, yeah, it pretty much was a really hard time finding this and finding a version that I could actually watch. So, yeah, for this movie, it's difficult to find, but if you do find it, then I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised by it, as it's not an awful movie, it's just that there are a lot of areas that I think they could have fixed. But then again, it is still 1954, so yeah, for the time period that this was made, I do really like how they did here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Next week, my 2-month late 2-year anniversary. Yeah, I don't know why I really waited 2 months. I mean, I could just skipped over Godzilla, but for some odd reason, I was really determined to get this one out. So yeah, 2-year anniversary. It's the sequel to the first movie I ever reviewed. Don't know what that movie is, it's Ghost Rider. So yay, Ghost Rider 2.